Aloha, you are watching another episode of the Hawaii Farmers Series. I'm your co-host, Justine Espiritu, and this is my co-host, Matthew Johnson. Just a reminder, we're so thankful to Think Tech for giving us this time slot every Thursday to kind of focus on food and farm issues. Farmers are the foundation of any food system, as well as kind of highlighting farmers, getting their backstory, and hearing about why they love what they do. We also want to talk to the other players involved in your local food system. There's a lot that goes into it, and we want to feature them as well. So thanks for joining us. Feel free at any time to tweet us your questions and be a part of the show with us. We are at ThinkTechHigh. So now Matt is going to kind of get into today's guests, why we want them on, and then he'll introduce our guests.
Great, thank you, Justine. So once again, we have a dynamic duo with us. So we have Sean Anderson and also Laamea Lunn, who are here with Friends with Farms Co-op. And so the two of them are going to be talking about their own personal farming experiences. So they're relatively smaller up-and-coming farms, smaller than the past guests that we had before, Ho Farms, and talking about how they got started, why they're interested in farming, but then also talking about the new project that they're working on, where they are developing a farming cooperative. So we're very excited for that. So Sean and Laamea, thank you so much for joining us today. We've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, and we're very excited, and I know you guys are too. And so why don't you go ahead and get started, if you can introduce yourselves. And before we get into the co-op, just talking more about your own individual farms first, and then in the second segment, we'll get into the co-op part.
Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for having us on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
You want to start it off, or want me to go?
Sure. Rock, paper, scissors. Pull straws. Sean, why don't you get started for us?
Sure, okay. Well, I'm Sean, you know that. I have been living here on Oahu for about 4 years now. I moved here to start a farm with my girlfriend, Kai Henson, and we moved to Waimanalo. We have about 3 acres out there that used to be horse ranch land. And we were super blessed, super fortunate to have the opportunity to move out there. Lucky situation, my family owns the land, and they bought it a while ago sort of as an investment. And I graduated from college with a desire to farm, and they said, here you go, take a crack at it. So I'm really blessed and really fortunate to have that opportunity. So we've just been working for the last couple of years, just converting our property into a small-scale, regenerative, polyculture, biodiverse, permaculture, beyond organic, beyond sustainable ecosystem place.
Wow, there's a lot of hot words there.
Yeah,
we'll definitely dig into that.
I hope we do. So that's a little bit about me. I love farming. I'm really stoked about food and just this new sort of upcoming food movement here in Hawaii too. It seems to be like, since I've been here, really kind of taken off, and things like there's a lot of things going on, and stoked to have met Laamea and some of the other farmers around that are like-minded, and I'll let him tell a bit about himself too.
Yeah, so aloha to you guys. Thank you for having us on. And so for me, I so I don't give you a life story real quick.
Want it. We want it all.
I was...
we have an hour and a half. 45 minutes.
I could have said more.
But yeah, I went to college up in the San Francisco Bay Area. I worked up there for a few years. I worked in the restaurant industry, as well as went to the University of San Francisco and California Culinary Academy while I was there. And I was up there, I kind of absorbed the energy of that whole area, Silicon Valley, and just sort of like the organic movement that's coming out of Northern California. And so I was in the culinary industry up there, and so I was aware of and conscious of all of the issues that were going on. And I did care. When I came home, what happened was I started learning more and more, and I felt just sort of that need to get involved, and so I started to do more research into doing it. I went on farm tours. I went and I learned aquaponics, and what happened was I ran into a program, Go Farm Hawaii, and I was fortunate enough to get in and go through the program and sort of learn how, sort of what maybe methods are best. And so what happened with the thing with that program is that they geared it towards people that wanted to be small farmers, because they felt like that's what people wanted out of these programs. And when they did that, what happened is we got these really great teachers, Dan Rudoy and Jay Bost. They came in and they sort of taught us that when you're doing it in small scales, trying to do things really heavy, industrial, is not the way to go. What you want to do is you want to do organic, you want to do regenerative, you want to do these sorts of practices that are lower cost. And and it really got me going into it, and I was able to connect with other farmers that were already doing that, and started picking up and learning things from them and learning things from other members of the community. And it's great to be here, and we got to talking, and that's how sort of this cooperative happened. I mean, I was growing things, I was selling it over at the Waimanalo Market Co-op for a while, and sort of looking for another avenue to sell my produce as well. And sort of I was directed towards Sean Anderson and his Green Rose Farm booth out in the Kailua Town Farmers Market. And first thing I sold over there were my carrots. Big hit. And,
Huge hit. Huge.
And
I still get people
ever since
asking,
then-
when are those carrots coming back? When is that guy with the carrots coming back?
So yeah, I mean, it was a good time, and we got to talking, and it went from there. We started including other people in the conversation, and other small farmers that were doing similar practices in the back of Waimanalo, and we formed a cooperative.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of make it sound like so logical in this next step. I think, lots of guests, and, I went through the Go Farm program with you, and I feel like your story and kind of your role in all of this is one of like the most amazing and inspirational to me, because, we were part of the Go Farm program, and we were the second cohort. So, I mean, the program is totally different now than what it was then. It was kind of still developing, and they're kind of still learning, like, what kind of support do they need? What are these three different stages? And with us, we did graduated the 1-year program, and then it's like, okay, here's a short-term lease, 2-3 years, and they kind of like cut us loose. And I mean, you really took initiative in terms of recognizing, like, hey, we still kind of don't know what we're doing. It was just this natural, like, let's still stay as this cohort. And the fact that then you even reached out beyond the Go Farm community, and reached out to Sean, someone who's was well established in the community, is just like so inspiring for me to see. And I feel like the Go Farm program should be, I wonder if they could even have imagined like their graduates like taking that initiative and going beyond that. So I think it's like an awesome story. And I have some like follow-up questions to both of your stories. Would you say that, so you were in school in San Francisco, do you think when you kind of started thinking about the production side versus the restaurant side, was it your background in the restaurants there in San Francisco, or was it, everything that was going on in San Francisco, that kind of environment, that then you took that mindset back home to Hawaii? If you can kind of elaborate, like give us a little more info on that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say both in that sense. I mean, for me, I was born and raised over here, and then I went to school up there. And when I came back, when you're away, you kind of lose touch with maybe just the regular day-to-day news and the issues. And I don't know, for me, when I started seeing that there was this divide, that they started, that they were taking so much of the ag land that was in production, and they were transforming it into urban and suburban centers. It shocked me, because I was, I had just in 2007, I think that's when all of this rumblings of like the Eva Plain and the development of Ho'opili, kind of like all of this sort of started coming up. And
Was that Matt? That was a good gesture, Matt. You people.
Rumbling.
And so the more I followed, the more I was like, well, like there's a lot of people that want this, and there's a lot of people that want more production locally of produce, but there's not enough people doing it. And you know what? If you don't use it, you lose it. And so I felt like the best thing I could do to be part of the solution of changing sort of that mindset was to be the user, to be the guy that goes out there and uses the ag land. And,
yeah, that's amazing. I mean, you weren't compelled to like, okay, I'm going to go and testify. I'm going to go and talk about this and write letters. You're like, well, we need more people farming, so I guess that's what I'm going to do. That's cool. And then what about
I would say
you moved here with the goal of having a farm, so what kind of...
Yeah, because both of you sound like you were in school and then you decided like this is kind of direction that you wanted to go, and that's impressive because it's not necessarily, you weren't thinking like, oh, I'm going to go and get paid, which a lot of times people think about when they're graduating from a university setting. So
I think that's one of the things that Laamea and I get along on too, is we share that that why we got into farming, that origin is really similar for both of us. It was not like, I'm going to get into farming because that's where all the millionaires are. We got into farming because of something else that touched us inside.
Passion.
For me, I was at school in Santa Barbara. I was studying global studies, which has nothing to do directly with farming, but almost everything to do indirectly with farming. So global studies is like this study of all of our global systems and how they're all interrelated and connected. So I'm taking economics classes, poli-sci classes, women's studies, religious studies, environmental studies, and finding this thread between all of them, which is food, and at the exact same time, I had been getting into gardening at UC Santa Barbara. I had my first garden plot my freshman year, and I remember this aha moment. That was what really sparked it for me, was gardening, right? And I got a plot, and I just had this moment where I thought, yikes, like I'm 19 years old, I have no idea how to grow food. This is pretty scary. And I was walking around with these master gardeners, and they're pointing things out to me, and they're going, oh, this is that, and this is that, and this is potato. And I'm going, that's potato? What? I had this like embarrassed moment where I was like, how
you
is
didn't even know that's
how
what it
is
was,
it possible that I
how to
have
grow
like
it.
Irish blood and I've been eating potatoes my whole life that I don't know what a potato plant looks like? And how has that happened? And that right there, that's the disconnect. That's the disconnect that we see in our society. A lot of people don't know how to grow food, don't know where their food comes from, don't care. It's just food is food. They're going to get it where they're going to get it. So doing that, studying global studies, similar thing. When it came time when I graduated, I got this degree, and I'm going, okay, now what? What inspired me was to get my hands dirty, go to the source and get involved. I said, if I have a problem with the way food is being grown, if I have a problem with our food system, what's the best way that I can affect change? And for me, it felt like going to the source and actually starting a farm with the practices that I believed in and trying to grow food the way that I believed was the best way. It was like an experiment. It still is. Can I do this? Can I grow food that is good for the environment, good for my community, good, I mean healthy, right, nutritionally, and good for me, inspiring me and keeping me alive and keeping my business viable. Is it possible? When I first moved here, I told all my neighbors, oh, are you going organic? And I said, yeah, I'm going to organic. And I said, good luck, Can't do it in Hawaii. There's too many bugs. So, 4 years later, we're doing it. Yeah. We've never used any chemical pesticides or any chemical fertilizers of any kind. And we have all the bugs that you can imagine, but we're doing it, and there were challenges along the way, and that's kind of what led me to starting co-op, meeting Laamea and reaching out to other farmers because, starting any business is challenging, right? But starting a small farm in Hawaii is extremely challenging. So I started reaching out to my neighbors and to people that I knew were growing food, like-minded like me, no chemicals and things like that, and reaching out to get their stuff in my booth, mostly to make my booth look better at the farmer's market. Weeks that I didn't have stuff. Oh, you got avocados? Oh, you got pomelo? Let's get them in the booth. And that led to
a lot of work for Sean.
A lot of work for sure, but it was good, And then I started thinking when Laamea came on, we were talking like, oh, this is kind of like a co-op, And then those little thoughts eventually became, hey, we could actually maybe start a co-op. We should think about doing that, and I really owe it to Laamea. I mean, I talk a lot of talk, and I've been telling people for a long time, hey, let's start a co-op, we could start a co-op, we could do this, big ideas. But Laamea really stepped up and was like, let's do this, and organized a meeting, and then talked to Kohala Center, really got the logistics going, and I was like, yes, finally someone who's taking the helm, which is why he's president and vice president.
Well, yeah, we want to get into a little more details of that whole kind of process. So first we're going to take a quick little break, and then we'll get right back to it.
Awesome.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
The deal. I'm Jay Fidel. I'm the host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is the Energy Policy Forum's program on Wednesday. That's how we call Wednesday Energy Wednesday. We call it Energy Wednesday every Wednesday. Are you surprised? Okay, and we get guys like Jim Alberts here from Hawaiian Electric who can tell us what's really going on in energy. We want to be informed. It's so important. It's the most important initiative in our state. Clean energy is major, okay? And that's why we cover it on this show. That's the deal. What do you think, Sharon?
I think that's great. That's why we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, and we hope you all join us so we can hear people like Jim coming on our show and co-host Ray Starling from Hawaii Energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here today. You've seen this. You heard what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and talk about the issues. Oftentimes, there isn't a good forum to bring these key issues out into the public, and this is a tremendous way to go about it. And the activity of this show is essential to keep talking about energy because, as you said, it's such an essential part of our lives that we need to pay attention to it and we need to think about the future.
Okay, Ray, your turn.
Well, this is a special time in the history of Hawaii where we're making some pretty radical changes in the way we use energy and generate energy. And this show is the one place you can count on coming to every Wednesday and hearing something about the latest issues that are on the table, being discussed, that will affect us all going forward. So come join us, and if you have some ideas you want to share with us about energy, give us a call and let us know. We'll put you up here and let you talk for an hour. So come see us.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Jim. It's great to be, from Think Tank's point of view, it's great to have this show. We love the show. It's our most important show. So come around and listen to us 4 to 5 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha and welcome back to another episode of the Hawaii Farmers Series. I'm your co-host Justine Espiritu, and this is my co-host Matthew Johnson of Oahu Fresh. So we kind of introduce our guests, Sean Anderson and Laamea Lunn, who are the president and vice president of the Friends with Farms Co-op. Really fast, I want to backtrack a little bit, and if you just want to kind of say what you grow on your farm and maybe something quick that's kind of unique or distinguishes your farm.
Sure. Personally, I've been experimenting for a long time with lots of different crops, try to do a huge mix of things. Right now I'm doing a lot of specialty varieties of eggplants, specialty varieties of lettuces for restaurants, and lots of culinary herbs, and then really trying to fill a lot of my property with a lot of fruit trees and create polyculture systems. Also do chickens for eggs. And I guess something unique about my farm is not only are we trying to grow food, but we're really creating our farm to be an educational center and a sort of a community center. So we host workshops, classes, yoga events, dinner events. We collaborate a lot with Yo Garden Hawaii, which is an awesome organization.
And part of the co-op as well.
And also part of the co-op. To host yoga and garden music festivals on our farm, and that's been super awesome, and love doing that and love to do more of that.
Nice.
Cool. And what about True Story Farm?
So yeah, I'm very much a beginner farmer still. I wouldn't claim to have any mastery of anything right now.
Me neither.
Yeah, I have tested a lot of different things. I'm sort of going down the path of I enjoy doing some products that are somewhat value added, or taking things maybe to jar. I like to do jams, I like to do sauces, I like to do pickles. So lately, I've brought some of
Yeah,
my pickles
pickled
down to the booth.
okra,
Yeah,
pickled
so I
beans.
do pickled beans, pickled okra, and I grow the things and elements required for that. And hopefully, I'm also going down the path of more crops that are acclimated to the environment. So things like cassava and kalo and sweet potato and bananas and all those things. I want to integrate into my systems, and hopefully soon I'll be moving off onto another property in Waimanalo. And right now I'm actually in the incubator still on the University of Hawaii Waimanalo Research Agricultural Research Station. So
Cool.
yeah,
Great.
Awesome.
yeah.
So, another unique thing, another reason why we have you guys on the show today, talking about your own individual farms, but also talking about the cooperative that you guys have mentioned that you formed. Laamea, if you can kind of get us started on the cooperative and just kind of like defining like what is a co-op. I think it's a term a lot of people have heard before, but maybe not very familiar with exactly what it is. And then kind of talking a little bit about your guys' journey on how you guys became a co-op.
Yeah, sure. So, according to the International Cooperative Alliance,
Ooh, we love official definitions.
an autonomous cooperative is an autonomous association of people united voluntarily to meet their common economic, social, and cultural needs and aspirations through a jointly owned and democratically controlled enterprise. So essentially, it's a business that everybody who's a member has a say and in the direction that it goes, and everybody that owns it, which are usually participating members in one way or another. And so, some of the benefits of a cooperative organization, not to get too deep into it, but basically, everybody is able to vote for a board of directors. It's a lot of it, we can do shared costs, both in labor and resources and equipment. And so we can purchase things together and jointly use them. And one of the big things about it is that it's a sort of a tax-through organization. So, officially what happens is that unlike, for instance, an LLC or something of that nature, which would get a tax on it of itself, and then any sort of, money is going back to the members would also get taxed a second time. A cooperative, you can actually form as, it's an association of some sorts, and everybody is taxed at a normal once rate kind of thing. It's also, one of the big things about cooperatives is that it's community focused and community centric. So a lot of the times people form cooperatives to kind of benefit the immediate communities that they're in. And some of the things that I guess some of the more benefits we'll get into a little later. But sort of the the process that we went through to form the cooperative, to the second part of that, is after meeting Sean and all of the other people that we were interested in joining up together, we talked to Stephen Chang, who runs Go Farm Hawaii and the agribusiness incubator, and he kind of actually led us over to the Kohala Center, and we got some meetings and some one-on-ones with Melanie Bondera.
So Kohala Center is a nonprofit in Waimea on the Big Island?
Yeah. Okay. And so her job is actually, she's somebody who essentially has a grant to assist people to start cooperatives. And so she really walked us through the process and helped us. And we got, and along the way we got a lot of, support and sort of assistance from Pamela Boyer and the Aloha Farm Lovers Farmers Market, Annie and whatnot.
Last week's guest.
Yes, last week's guest.
Well, I have two questions on that really fast. I'm curious, what was Stephen Chang's initial reaction to talking about forming a cooperative? Because I remember one thing from Go Farm, him talking about don't have any partnerships if it's not like your husband or wife or something. I feel like this idea of people, this cooperative, that sometimes in Hawaii, I think I've heard from some people, there is a reluctance to get involved. Did you come up Did I make that up that Stephen said that?
Well,
When
And we're
well,
hoping to have
sort of.
Stephen on the show next week, so let's all be nice.
Well, see, part of it is that there is a drawback. You have to work with people, and it's a democratic organization. So your view might not end up being the view that comes through because you work with other people, and other people have opinions. And so at the beginning, he was like, "Hey, you want to do this? You should just go and start it and start your own business, and that's your thing." And sort of, I kind of drew back from that because I felt like, well, if I did that and I was successful at it, and I continued to grow and grow and grow, sort of my view is that a lot of farmers, when they're distributing their product, like they don't have, a lot of times they don't have direct access to customers. It's not a usual situation. And so what happens is sort of the distribution companies and sort of all of the retail operations, they have leverage over that guy, and they use that leverage to try to drive that price down. And I felt, oh, well, what if we had this shared organization that everybody owned, all of a sudden that leverage goes away. And and we certainly need the markets, and we certainly need all of those other things, because you can't sell just in one direction. And and that's a benefit. But having also a way to directly reach customers would really financially benefit the farmers, and try to make small farming viable for people.
I think like historically, maybe what Stephen was talking about, like typically when you mention co-ops in an agriculture setting in Hawaii, you usually get grumbling, saying, "Oh, it's never going to work," because historically it has been challenges. There's the co-op with the coffee industry over on the Big Island, and then the onion industry on Maui. There's just been a lot of challenges, and I'm not like you guys aren't having challenges. So I think a lot of times when you do say co-op, it's almost like a bad word, which I'm sure you guys have witnessed. So that's why people are definitely looking at what you guys are doing with maybe some skepticism.
Yeah.
But that's why we're excited to hear like what has been working for you guys. So.
Right.
Well, then one other thing to kind of clarify, kind of on that, there is another good example of a co-op here, and that sometimes people get confused with. They ask if you're part of the Waimanalo co-op. Can you kind of distinguish Friends with Farms from the Waimanalo co-op?
Sure. So so the Friends with Farms
Sean's
is
not
a
helping.
so Friends with Farms is a farmers co-op. So what happens is it's a producers co-op. We produce and we jointly sell our produce and our items and our other farm products. The Waimanalo co-op is sort of a group of consumers, so that we're interested in having a market. The Waimanalo Market Co-op, that's what they are. They're interested in having sort of a produce market in Waimanalo that people can access healthy food, and that's that's a really great. That's a really great mission.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, there's just so many different forms. There's more than one definition.
They're similar, right? So like the Waimanalo Market Co-op, this is a co-op formed so that the people, the consumers of that co-op, right?
choose what
They
want,
all
have
pitch
access
in,
to
and
it.
they have access to what they want. They all essentially they're sharing costs, much like we're sharing costs, right? So they can get bulk orders, and then just the benefits of buying bulk go out to the co-op members. And similar to our co-op, we now have a stronger buying power together because we're buying more stuff and sharing it amongst ourselves, sharing that cost. That's the goal.
And one thing sort of that cooperatives do is work together. Like that's one of the unique aspects is cooperatives like to work with other cooperatives, and we like to collaborate with each other. And that's a neat thing. It's really that it's sort of a community-centric organization.
Cool. Awesome. So we already covered some of those specific benefits. We are going to take another quick break, and kind of get more into, I guess, some more of those specifics and maybe why in Hawaii in particular this is important, and what you guys kind of hope to forward or mold our food system here with it.
Cool.
So we're going to take a quick break.
Hi, my name's Cindy Matsuki, and I host the show High Growth with HTDC on Think Tech Hawaii. This is the show where we talk about all things tech, innovation, entrepreneurship, and manufacturing, because there's so many things going on in Hawaii and more people should know about them. So this is the program that you can come and find out about all the things happening in Hawaii. And this show also airs on Olelo 54 along with Think Tech Hawaii. and it broadcasts live every other Tuesday at 3 p.m. So don't forget, check out the show Tuesday, 3 p.m. every other week. High Growth with HTDC. Thanks.
Aloha! How you doing? It's me, Angus McTech, wishing you to welcome and join us to see us on Hibachi Talk on Think Tech Hawaii. Join my co-hosts, Gordo the Tech Czar and Andrew the Security Guy, every Friday from 1300 to 1345. We look forward to seeing you. We'll talk tech and we'll have some wee bit of fun. And remember, let your wing gang free wherever you be. Aloha!
Aloha, we're back once again with Hawaii Farmers Series. I am your co-host, Matthew Johnson, with my co-host, Justine Espiritu.
Hello.
And today's guest is Laamea Lunn and Sean Anderson with Friends with Farms Cooperative. So we've been talking about their individual experiences with their farms and their visions, and also talking about cooperatives. And so we're going to jump right back into it. These breaks just kind of keep like slowing us down, but we're just going to plow through. And we found out we have an extra 5 minutes, so very excited.
Right.
There's so many different things to talk about. So I should probably start talking.
Let's go.
So getting back into co-op. So one of the things that you're talking about, the difference between like Waimanalo Co-op and then your guys' co-op, how are you guys working cooperatively? And then what are some other areas that you guys are talking about working in the future?
Want me to start?
So first thing before we get
Oh,
started.
okay. These guys came with an agenda.
So first things first. The Friends with Farms, just to be a little different. We're a cooperative of farmers sharing our resources to provide wholesome food for the people of Hawaii, grown with principles of Aloha Aina, while empowering ourselves to build and sustain a regenerative agricultural community now and for future generations.
Boom.
Cool. And you guys, we just kind of launched a website and a Facebook, and this weekend is been at the market for a while, but this weekend's kind of like the grand something.
The meet the farmers of our cooperative.
Cool.
Meet the farmers of our co-op.
This Sunday,
This Sunday
at the Kailua Farmers Market.
Yep.
At the Kailua Elementary School, Sunday morning, 8:30 to noon.
Yeah.
We're there every week. And that's how our co-op started. So we got together, right? We're all farmers. We're all fairly young, or not necessarily young, but beginning farmers, right? New to the game of farming. And we share a lot of similar challenges, right? Basically, not only growing our food the best way, using sort of, I don't want to say new practices because we take a lot of our practices from traditional practices, but a lot of what we're doing is innovative, right? Because there aren't tools designed for your average small-scale farmer. So a lot of the things we have to design and the methods we have to come up with. So we share those, challenges. Also, getting our product out and sold is a challenge. So we decided to get together, start really simple. We knew we were all like-minded. We shared similar growing practices. We said, great, we're aligned. Now, let's work together to sell our produce. So we started very small with a simple task of going to one farmer's market a week, the Sunday Kailua Farmers Market, which I had already been going to. That was our goal. Let's work now. Let's get as many farmers as we can to start going to this, with the goal of expanding and going to other markets, hitting restaurants together, hitting supermarkets, as far as we can take it, as big as we can take it. But that was our goal initially, is to start small, focused on one farmer's market. And we've been doing that. We've been working out the kinks, how that works, because we share not only all of the equipment associated with going to a farmer's market, but we also share the labor with working the farmer's market. That's been a huge relief for me. I'm used to working a farmer's market every week, and now I've got to have a couple Sundays off, where some of our other farmer members of our cooperative have shifted in, and they are running the farmer's market. And we have this unique system where we train. We have an overlap of training new members as they come in to run the market. So that's been working really well.
And which is awesome, allowing, maybe some of the farmers that involved with the co-op kind of had other revenue streams, and so they hadn't yet gotten to the market point. In the market, you need the time, you need the people, you can't be at the market for 4 or 5 hours and on the farm.
Right.
And so I know I've seen definitely it's been a new thing for some of the farmers, that idea of that interaction with the customers. And it's really exciting and cool to see.
And it's been super awesome because a lot of the members of our co-op, I mean, when I first met Laamea, he had that small plot of just carrots. Now, these were awesome carrots, but it's not enough to go get a farmer's market booth, make the commitment for the whole
Right.
year, get insurance, get the tent, just to sell 5 pounds of carrots every week.
Right.
But in the co-op, he brings his carrots, and now he's selling carrots at the fraction of the cost it would have taken him to join, get his own market booth. Same with a lot of other members in our co-op. We have Shelly Machado, who's doing eggs at Kanu Farms. She was not selling her eggs. Now she's selling 20, 30 dozen eggs a week. I mean, to me, that's a success story. It's like these farmers are selling their stuff.
And on that same kind of product and story, that's, I think, another success story in terms of, and you kind of talked about too, like the negotiating the kind of price when you're a farmer kind of alone and you know the work that goes into it, but you really have to defend that of like, why does this cost so much, especially when you're growing things in the way that these farmers are, that maybe are a little expensive or maybe take some time that people don't recognize. And that is one success that the co-op has already, of kind of getting a fair price on some of the products, or that then the farmer feels like they're getting what the work entails.
Yeah.
I think it's also like good too, like obviously from a consumer point, we love farmers markets, but like you were saying before, if you have to go to a farmer's market every week, and that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. So and I think that keeps people out of just not even having the product, but just getting up every morning and doing it would keep people away from actually showing up.
It was what was keeping a lot of the members of our co-op away from it. But now there's a huge value to being there too, because we get that face time with the consumer. We have the ability now to tell that story of how we grow our food, why our food tastes so much better, why it's better for them, why it's better for the environment. Little things that they wouldn't have known, just seeing a carrot, right?
Even you go to Foodland, they have the local section, they have those labels, they have those signs, but it's such a different experience going and talking that.
Yeah.
So how about, that's great. And you guys just got started 6 months ago, maybe a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've been in discussions, I would say, since the beginning of this year, and then actually formed the cooperative and sort of discussed that out and our structure in June, and then have been going to the farmers market together since the beginning of August. And so,
And I want to
so
commend you guys in terms of taking that initiative, and everyone's like, yes, let's do a co-op, and then it's like, okay, well, let's look at we got to write some bylaws, guys, we got to do some research, and you guys have really taken that on, and it's like so amazing, and it's like 10 or 11 or 12 other farmers that are in this process that kind of, didn't have to, you guys did that legwork really for the whole organization, so it's really inspiring.
Well, yeah, I mean, and the thing is that we only decided on 10 or 11 because we said, you know what, let's get this thing started.
Yeah.
And let's do it with a tight group so we can get some kinks out and find out the best way to operate amongst ourselves. And once we do that, then we can again open up and say, hey, who likes it? Who else wants to come in? And so if there's other farmers participating in these practices, we're always looking to add new people and also looking to add new markets as well. So the more the more the merrier right now. And one of the cool things about the cooperative is it's not just about the market. Like that was the first thing. Like we're looking to do other things together too. We're looking to do shared soil inputs and finding a way that we can produce it together. We're looking to do.
Well, so explain that a little bit more. What do you mean by that? Shared
Why don't
soil
you
inputs?
say what you think he means first, and then we'll say.
I'm the one asking the questions here. All right.
I wanted to hear your interpretation first, and then see what.
I'm going to let our guests do that, but thank you.
Also, like the way that we farm, we use a lot of natural practices. We like to say, and this is in our bylaws or our sort of about us, is we like to use what works. So we don't follow any one specific dogma as far as agriculture goes, right? But we like to pull from a little bit from organic farming, biodynamics, natural farming, indigenous practice farming, things like that, and piece it together. And a lot of what that means is creating your own inputs for your soil. So natural sources of fertility. We have a saying, we say fertility doesn't come from a bottle. So that's one of our shared beliefs, is we don't go to the store and look at the shelves. So a lot of times it involves making compost, making other soil amendments, making natural fertilizers to get the best fertility out of our soil. And we're all on a small scale sort of making our own, but this is one of the reasons for co-oping and cooperating, is we can work together to make this on a larger scale and have it readily available for all the farmers. So then it's like, same with me not having to go to the farmers market every month. It's like, oh man, I need more compost, or my compost pile's not done yet. I call the soil committee guys and they go, come on down, yeah, we'll scoop you up. We got compost, get it going. That way we all want to see each other succeed the best that we can.
Yeah.
We want to give, one of our farmers who's, I've never used worm castings before. It's like, we want to get them using worm castings. We want to get them using the best compost. We want to get all of our produce to be the best so that all of our unique businesses can be the best that they can be. That we're cooperating to do that.
Wow.
And also, and not just from a production standpoint, also possibly from finding a way to sell and distribute some of our things to restaurants or other areas, and having sort of that shared mechanism that all of us can feed into and distribute. And at the end of the day, we're all sharing costs on it, and we all end up owning it.
Yeah.
And so we get the benefits of that shared mechanism and that shared organization. And hopefully also maybe some shared education as well, being able to educate the public on and other people about maybe the benefits of regenerative agriculture versus traditional.
Well, which kind of brings up in terms of sharing that education and stuff, one cool thing is, I had a friend reach out to me that she runs the foreign exchange school. And so there's these students from South Korea that are here for like a month. So I had them come volunteer on my farm for a couple weekends. And I was like, hey, Laamea, do you want some volunteers too? And kind of sharing that. But also, can you kind of talk about the Farm Blitz thing?
Sure.
Oh yeah, I actually just came from it this morning. So one of our members, Paul from Yo Garden, actually did some organization with those guys, helping backyard growers and backyard farmers. And so with the Farm Blitz, what happened was we had people come out and help on farms and experience some of the work that goes into agriculture and be exposed. And so, we just had that today, but hopefully next month we're going to have another one. And
it's going to be
we're going to rotate.
thing.
Yeah, we're going to rotate between our different farms and really kind of get the community involved and understanding what goes into agriculture, and even getting more information out there about agriculture to people that might be interested in doing it in the future too. Very exciting.
So in probably about under a minute, because that's about how much time we have left, what I want to do is have you guys talk a little bit about, you guys have your models and you guys are growing what you're doing, but how about for the rest of the future of agriculture in Hawaii?
Yeah.
We're kind of going to the next level of the conversation here. But what do you guys see as the success that you're having? Like, what do you see as what's needed for the rest of Hawaii's ag community?
First of all, we need more farmers, more farms. There are a million ideas that we've come up with of ways to revolutionize this state and the world. But ultimately, what is needed most is the supply. There are so many people, there's a huge demand for the kind of food we're growing. It's healthy, it's good for the environment, right? It's all that. We just don't have enough people growing it. So that's one thing I see for the future. More farmers, more people coming through the Go Farm program and getting onto land and just getting into the system.
And
second is, I think,
more people collaborating.
More people collaborating, more people working together. Right now, we work together so well because we're nowhere near competing with each other. We're so much stronger together, That's what I would like to see, more of that.
Yeah, and I think too, from not just from a farmer's perspective, but from a consumer's perspective. I mean, I hate to say this, but food, you are what you eat, and so in the end, helping people to come to the realization that that's not just figurative, that's literal.
Yeah.
And I just feel like we're sort of in this transition period where people are starting to recognize and realize that the old model isn't working, and we have to do something to change. And we have to do something to change up the way we live and the way we grow and the way we eat. And the way we eat really affects not only the quality of our life, but the world we live in and the world around us. And it has, making the different choices will have different outcomes like that. And so I'm just I'm really excited and hoping that people will value their food a little bit more and value the work that goes into it.
Awesome.
Amen, brother.
Yeah.
Cool. So it's just really exciting to see you guys really like taking the initiative to kind of make those changes that you want to see. So thank you so much for having.
Thank you guys.
For coming.
Yeah.
on the
Thank you.
show.
Thanks for having us on the show.
You want to say aloha to my family?
Okay. So join us next week, Thursday, same time, 4 to 5.